awful lot gets made about the players that are very, very important to West Ham. Their names roll off the tongue. You don't need me to tell you who they are. But there is one person who is fundamental to all of this. And I think it's easy to look at Declan Rice and say, well, he would be attractive to whatever, Man U, Man City, Chelsea. To Jarrod Bowen and think, well, obviously he would be an attractive proposition for almost anybody to sign, with possibly the exception of Man City, of course. And on it goes. We have a list of players who other clubs would covet. And in many respects, we look at a lot of these players and think these are just integral and pivotal to what we do at West Ham. But the most important person at West Ham is David Moyes. It just is. I think hopefully I went into detail yesterday with myself and Gio of all the qualities of Declan Rice. I don't want Declan Rice to go. But if he does, I do have faith that David Moyes will come up with something. David Moyes will have a contingency plan. And I still think we would go on and we would win games. What we can't really do is annoy David Moyes. What we can't do is put him in a position where he feels that his position at West Ham is untenable. I think David Moyes has settled and understands the fact that he doesn't have the sort of money that he might have enjoyed at Manchester United had he stayed there. I think he's fine with that. I think he quite enjoys cutting his cloth and penny pinching and trying to stretch the money he's got. Maybe even save it, just not spending it. That's what he's thrifty, basically. David Moyes is thrifty. I think he accepts that. And when I say that, I mean the fact that we're not going to go out and contest and buy the best players. He's bought into the fact that he's going to have to build them up and create good players, like Bowen, who is what this video is about. I will eventually get to the point. Don't worry about that. What I don't think he's signed up to when he signed his new contract, whilst he accepted he won't be able to bring players in for big money, I don't think he would accept us selling players without his consent and without his permission. Now, this is why I think the situation with Bowen is very different to Declan Rice. I'm going to go on to explain in a second why I just don't think Jarrod Bowen is going to be going anywhere. And I say this now, it's an easy story to make. It's easy to join the dots, but I'm looking at there's an article on something called the Football Faithful at the moment, which is basically suggesting that Jarrod Bowen is open to a move to Anfield. Now, I don't know where they get this from. They probably have just made it up. However, it is easy when he's in good form to do that and put two and two together. And I guess it is really coming up with four. But David Moyes doesn't have to do this. David Moyes doesn't want to do this. And this is why I think the situation is different between Bowen and Declan Rice. I think as and when Declan Rice decides to leave, I think there's a situation there. I don't think it will be the board turning round to David Moyes and saying, we're selling him. We've had an offer we can't refuse. I think ideally the board would give Declan Rice whatever money he wants and let Declan Rice sign a 7-year contract. I think if everyone at West Ham had their way, Declan Rice would finish his career at West Ham. There's just one problem with that, and that's I don't think Declan Rice, unless there was some amazing rapid change at West Ham, I don't think Declan Rice thinks that he would stay at West Ham for the next 7-10 years or whatever the case may be. However, I do think there's a situation where if he does want to leave, that it's not the board who initiate that or instigate that, it's Declan Rice. And such is the measure of the man, I think Declan Rice would say to David Moyes, I'm going. I need to leave, Gaffer. I think at that point, it's not really the board undermining David Moyes. Moyes would just say, right, okay, fair enough. He's got to go. Let's get the best price for him and let's start trying to work out who we can get in. I hope he started that process early. Because what I wouldn't want to do is sell Declan Rice. And then, by David Moyes' admission, he's been trying to sign a striker for 2 years. Wouldn't want to be trying to sign Declan Rice's replacement for 2 years, put it that way. Because otherwise the form would certainly dip. I think the situation with Jarrod Bowen is somewhat different. I really do. Because I'm not entirely sure that Jarrod Bowen would do that. But I think even if he did, I think David Moyes carries a little bit more authority in that situation. So first of all, do I think the board would sell Bowen from under from under Moyes' nose? No, I don't. I just don't think it would happen at all. I think that would be committing literally West Ham suicide. And I don't care that there's new board members and this, that and the other. What they don't want to do is pee the boss off. And he is the boss. He is the boss of West Ham at the moment. Because as much as Declan Rice and Jarrod Bowen might be attractive to other clubs, make no mistake about it, David Moyes is also very, very attractive to other clubs. I wouldn't say he's doing us a favour by being here. I think it's been mutually beneficial. We've allowed him to repair his career. But he is not going to be in a situation where he's going to allow himself to be undermined. And I don't think the board would undermine him. They're just not going to do that. What they're going to do when it comes in, if there are bids, obviously they would notify him. But I just think every time a bid comes in, David Moyes just says no. And why shouldn't he? Before we go any further, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. The link is in the description below, literally. Underneath this screen here, if you click on there or use the QR code up there, scan it into your phone, and then when you download the app, just click that you follow West Ham. It will put all the West Ham news into one place for you, your one-stop West Ham shop. Best of all, it's free. Doesn't matter if it's transfer gossip, injury news, which is getting better, COVID news. Never thought I'd say that, really, did I? Results, fixtures, anything you need to know about West Ham, it's all there in one place. That's the OneFootball app. David Moyes, as I say, would not sanction a deal for Jarrod Bowen. It just would not happen. Would not happen in any way, shape or form. And when I look at it, I think that's fine. Whilst I'm confident that in a lot of players we could go out there and source a replacement, I think on Bowen we probably couldn't. Not like that. I don't think that there is an endless supply in the Championship. I don't think it's that easy that you just sell Jarrod Bowen and you dip down to the Championship and you get the next Jarrod Bowen, you sign him for 20 million, you turn him into a 60, 70 million pound player. I just don't think it works like that. I think sometimes you just find an exceptional player. And the thing that I like about Bowen, and I'm pretty sure Moyes would like about Bowen, is that Bowen is efficient. He's efficient in his movement. He's efficient in everything he does. He doesn't over-elaborate. He's not indulgent. He doesn't have to beat 4 or 5 men to create his goal. Sometimes he just ghosts into the correct position and scores a goal. And that's really a hell of a thing. That shows a sort of in-game football intelligence, which is really developing. And don't underplay this. David Moyes is very, very good for players. David Moyes improves players. I mean, I've got time. It's a different video in itself. But you look at Cresswell, you look at Antonio, just look at loads and loads of West Ham players. David Moyes improves them. He really does. And I don't think it's that simple that you then dip down and you get the next one. Because I just think it's a no. I just think there's no way that we're selling this guy. And I just can't see it. I don't think it matters what Liverpool do. Because Liverpool can't really give us anything massively attractive that would tempt us to lose Jarrod Bowen. I don't think the money's particularly attractive to David Moyes. Let's be honest. We know at the moment, we've got a transfer window at the moment, and he's already said he's been trying to sign a striker for 2 years. At the moment, you're looking at it, you're thinking, well, I don't know, whatever he's got, 30, 40 million, he can't even spend that. It took him long enough to sign a centre-back, and he's known he's wanted one. And I was going to say for a couple of years he wanted a centre-back. He was talking about bringing a top-class centre-back in during his first stint when Arnautovic was playing up front. That's how long it takes him. He's struggling to spend 30, 40 million. Last thing he needs is another 60 million for Jarrod Bowen on there. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to spend 100. He can't spend 30. I just think it's that old thing, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, isn't it? And I think when you're looking at it like that, I just don't think there is. So I think number one, David Moyes doesn't sanction the sale. Number two, the board don't sanction the sale for all the reasons I've given. What it does do, and the other little dynamic to this situation, is the contract. And it's been here a couple of years now. And if anybody is due a new contract, it's Jarrod Bowen. And it's something they need to do really, really quickly, because as a player's status is elevated, the parameters and the dynamic of the relationship alters, doesn't it, somewhat? And we've seen it. We also know that Antonio has signed a new contract. Obviously, we covered that in a video the other day. Apparently, 2 more players have signed a new contract. I really hope one of those is Bowen. Because what we don't want to get into is a Declan Rice situation where we've got the sword of Damocles hanging over our necks. And whilst we don't want to sell a player, there is always that concern that they just runs his contract down. And whilst I don't think anybody leaves on a free, I don't think Bowen would leave on a free, I don't think Declan Rice leaves. It just comes to a tipping point where you have to sell them before you lose out and you get a big fee from them. We get Jarrod Bowen and get him to sign a contract now. I honestly, firmly believe we just won't sell him at all.